Hottest topic for the industry in 2022. Look, there's a lot that's on the investors' lips this year, and it's hard to ignore some of the mega trends, whether it's on the energy side, whether it's on the economic side, such as the recession and inflationary risks, or even just the geopolitical sort of concerns that are playing out between China and the rest of the world. I think when I distill the topic down to Asia and what investors are most seeking to discuss and better understand vis-a-vis Asia and investing in Asia, it's very much about the role that China can continue to play. It's still an important market, there is no doubt. It's still a market that requires and attracts capital and has an opportunity. But there's been so many factors, some internally driven, some externally driven, that have made that path to China a little bit more challenging. And so investors are very much keen to understand, what does that path back to China look like? What are the signals that we need to look out for, those leading indicators, if you like, from a capital flow perspective? I think that's been the biggest topic for us that we've been dealing with and trying to help our clients through as well.
I think you'd asked me about, two key considerations at the top of our thing. I would say I'm going to give you two hot topics. One is, where are valuations going in the current environment? Right now, we've observed, I think, here at Cambridge Associates, we've observed that valuations are definitely gliding down to maybe where they should have been. So I think one of the hot topics is, how are these portfolios doing? What are their valuations? I think a second hot topic is venture capital versus private equity, right? Venture capital has almost become sizable and shoulder to shoulder with private equity allocations in certain investors' portfolios. Will that persist? I think that's a particular hot topic I'm looking forward to exploring here.
The conflict in Ukraine. So I think coming into the year, everyone was already prepared for rising interest rates. So, as a result of COVID, the central banks everywhere printed money, and coming out of that, I think we all accepted it was inevitable that interest rates were going to rise. And then I think a lot more uncertainty is being caused by the conflict that's occurring in Ukraine. Supply chain disruption, inflation, specifically around the gas prices, and for various countries, has a fairly negative impact on GDP growth. So there's a lot of derivatives coming out of that.
Very simple, it's the rise of interest rates. We have no idea in terms of how far it will go, how long it will take. I think it's the discussion about interest rates and the impact on valuation of the single assets today.
Inflation, the Fed, and the potential impact on valuations. The good thing is, in Asia, in a number of the Asian markets, inflation's a bit lower. So whether that's Hong Kong or Singapore or Japan, managers are being quite thoughtful on the deals they're doing. They're looking for companies that can do CPI adjustments. So everyone's talking about, how do we manage going forward so we continue to deliver the great returns for the LPs that we always have done.
So I'm going to be very boring here, and you've probably heard this many, many times before. ESG. So ESG is now a huge topic. It can't be ignored. It's often part of the charters for some of the large LPs. And with the new regulations coming into place, we're going to be seeing a lot more reporting requirements on that, a lot more staff focus very much on that side of things.
Yeah, listen, there's been some really interesting commentary around, some of the sector-specific stuff, some of the country-specific. For me, the one that I found really interesting today was the secondaries market. It's obviously rapidly growing as people are trying to reduce the risk but maintain exposure, which sounds a bit of a weird one, but there's a lot of structuring going around. Certainly for private equity in the secondaries market. We're involved in that because our data is very valuable to the people who do the structuring. I expect that to grow quite dramatically over the next few years.
Hottest topic 2022 is obviously, it's a quite bumpy market. Obviously, we see the huge market corrections, elsewhere in the global market, and people are trying to see the how we can overcome, uncertainty in this kind of global market. However, like I think the private equity, even like a venture capital, they have a strong discipline to really work on the company growth, different stages, but still, they are pretty much driven by the growth of the company. So as long as, the people are really believing we would be able to improve the company's growth, we can definitely make the money. So I really believe that, how the global manager or Asian manager to survive in this kind of the bumpy markets can going forward. That I try to pay attention to it.
I think it's about the global financial crisis. I mean, people will start to think, what will happen for the upcoming years, but I think that, when we speak to other either investors or GP or service provider or peers, and people are still, thinking about the same question. What will that be for the upcoming years? Because people might worry about what's going to happen in Asia. Is Asia still an attractive place to invest, or what are the alternatives based on the current situation? And I think that's remains the hottest topics. I guess it's not just for these events, but years to come.
Exactly, is carbon zero, it's carbon neutrality. So the ongoing war in Ukraine, and everyone knows in some places the electricity prices surged 10 times. Every country are facing their energy shortage challenges. So it's quite hot in this conference.